In this video, I will share with you tips on how to spend less on handbags and purchases, period. If you like this type of content, please like, comment, and subscribe. And please share the video with those who you know will enjoy the content as well. Okay, you guys, let's get into it. Let's get into the tips on how to spend less on handbags. The first tip I'm going to share with you is to shop only when you are looking to spend. Shop only when you are looking to spend. Some of us can't just go into a store and just look. You can't just go in there and just look. Some of us have to stay out of the store, and that's okay. So, of course, I'm one of those people. Of course, I don't go in the store, and normally what I do is when I go in the store, I have already, paid bills and other obligations and, put money aside and that kind of thing. So I've already done all those things first because I make that my priority. But that's not what I'm talking about. Most of the time when I go in a store, I'm looking to purchase something. So what I'm saying here right now is, if you know you do not want to purchase a handbag, don't go in the store looking for handbags, okay? Or looking at handbags. Because when you go in the store, there's a possibility that you're going to see something you want to purchase. So whether you have the funds or not, the point of this first tip is to shop only when you intend to purchase. Now, I do understand that this first tip may not apply to everyone. There are some of you out there that retail therapy is the best therapy in the world for you, and you can go and you can look all day until the cows come home and never buy a single handbag. You could never buy a single thing. You could never want to buy anything. But some of us, when we go in there, if we see something that we like, we're going to purchase it. And if you're that person, stay out the store. The stores are basically set up for you to purchase. Every store that you go in, they're trying to entice you to purchase. They are set up for spending. If they were not set up for spending, guess what? They won't make a profit. And then they will soon, eventually, probably be out of business because they're not making money. So when you go into a store, there's a probability, there's a high probability that you may end up spending. So if you know that you're trying to spend less on handbags this year, only go in the store when you have an intention to buy. That's my first tip. And that's why I put that tip first. Because I know that if you're not going in the store all the time, you may go in there a couple of times and you may decide, hey, I'm not buying anything today. I'm just looking. You may leave. You'll go the next day or the next week or so. I'm not buying. I'm just looking. But it's just a matter of time. You're probably more than likely going to purchase. So to decrease your chances of purchasing, only shop when you intend to purchase. Now we will move on to tip number 2. My mother used to always say, waste not, want not. And that's tip number 2. Waste not, want not. Mama had a saying, waste not, want not. Of course, she applied it to food. She would always say, take all you want, but eat all you take. And she would always remind us of different, she would always refer to children in other countries who didn't have an adequate supply of food. So from that, I basically I applied to my life, and I applied to handbags. The way I apply to handbags is like this. Every handbag you purchase, you need to attend to use. Make sure you buy those bags that you love and that you love to use. And that's the way you are not wasting, not wanting not. So, remember, We're talking about spending less in this video. I'm not talking to those people that are handbag collectors. I'm not talking to the millionaires out there that can go out and buy bags every day. I'm only talking to those people who are interested in spending less on their handbag purchases this year. Those are the people that I'm speaking to. So just so you know, if you're interested in spending less, then this video is definitely for you. So tip number 2, waste not, want not. If you're not going to wear the bag, then don't buy the bag. Of course, this also goes back to my second goal for handbags this year. Only buy what you love. Only buy those bags that you intend on using and wearing. Because if you love the bag, and not just love to look at the bag. We're not talking about love to look at the bag. We're talking about you love the bag because you like the aesthetics of the bag. You're talking about you love the bag because you like to wear this bag. You gravitate toward this bag. And sometimes you really don't know how you're going to like it until you get it home. And that's why in my previous videos, I've emphasized take the packaging off. Go ahead and start wearing it immediately because you need to know if this bag is going to work for you. Waste not, want not. Go ahead and use the bag because you'll know in a matter of a couple of days whether or not the bag is suitable and whether it's going to work for you. So, because that's just basically using resources wisely. You want to make sure that when you purchase items, that you put them to good use. You want to make sure the handbag works for you. Otherwise, what'll happen is the handbag will just sit on your shelf. And it'll just sit there and look cute. Yes, it will be a gorgeous handbag sitting on your shelf, but you won't be using it. Of course, if it's sitting on your shelf, even if you're in that top 1% of incomes, you should really think about, someone could be putting this bag to use, whether you choose to sell it or gift it or give it to someone or, someone could be using that bag. And so you always have to think in those terms, It's okay to have a few bags. Like I personally have a few bags that I use as travel bags. And I don't use those every day. But for the most part, because of the practical kind of person I am, I have handbags that I use regularly. And I generally rotate my handbags once a week. So there's 52 weeks in a year. Then that comes to approximately 52 everyday bags. So I know that 52 bags is going to be my limit for the entire year. Now, I don't have 52 regular size handbags, but if I count in the handbags that I have, such as the No-Leader 15s, the No-Leader 19s, I count all the travel bags that I have, it's going to be 52 or, give or take 50 bags if I count everything. Mostly my No-Leader 15s, I use those for catch-alls inside a bag anyway. I don't generally use those for handbags. Now, on occasion, the last trip we went on, I did use one of the No-Leader 19s as a handbag. I did carry it on our last family trip. But for the rest of the No-Leader 19s, I like using them as catch-alls inside my bags. And I bought them with that purpose in mind. So, there comes a time when you have to look at and assess what you have in your handbag collection and make a determination of whether I'm wasting this item. Do I want this item? And so that am I going to put it to use? Waste not, want not. It's tip number 2 for spending less on handbags. Because that's what this video is geared towards. It's toward those people that want to spend less on handbags. We will now get into tip number 3. Tip number 3 is to know yourself and know your limitations. Tip number 3 is to know yourself and know your limitations. We all sometimes spend a little more at times. Life is about balance. You have to know what you can do. You have to know what you cannot do. For example, I know that Hermes is way out of my budget. So I'm not going to go. I don't watch a lot of videos on Hermes handbags. You know, I watch videos which are more reachable for me. You know, I look at now, every now and then I'll look at some of the Hermes bags, but it doesn't bother me personally by watching videos on a Hermes bag. I don't feel like I just got to have a Hermes bag. I look at it, I admire it, I say it's beautiful or not beautiful, or I like it or I don't like it, and then I'm okay. I move on. I get enjoyment out of watching videos looking at handbags. If you know yourself and you know that when you look at a lot of handbag videos that's going to entice you to spend more, then you probably more likely need to cut back on looking at those videos. Well, you need to cut back on looking at those types of videos. And, you know, that may mean turning off your notifications. If you were trying to help a small channel out and stay subscribed to the channel, that may be, you know, not watching them as often. You have to do what you have to do because, you know, you've got to be happy. You know, if looking at other handbags of other people in videos make you sad, then you don't need to look at that kind of thing. But I enjoy watching other content creators talk about their handbags. Now, that don't mean I'm going to try to have every one of them in my collection, you know, but you have to balance things out. So know yourself and know your limitations. You know, there's some things, you know, that I don't watch because I know myself and I know my limitations. Sometimes it's easier to spend because you get caught up in the moment at the time. But, you know, the good news is when that happens, the store generally, unless it's an item on clearance or unless you're buying from a store that does not have a return policy, they generally have some type of return policy. So it's best to always ask what the return policy is in case you change your mind. And one of the things I've found is that if you will just wait on making that purchase, then if it's not something that you really love, you're probably going to forget about it or you're going to change your mind. So tip number 3, know yourself and know your limitations. We all have limitations on certain things. And, you know, you just have to know you and you have to know where your limits are. Let's recap the 3 tips on how to spend less on handbags and purchases. Of course, you can apply this to purchases as well. Tip number 1 is to shop only when you intend to spend. Shop only when you are intending to purchase. Okay? It's just that simple. So that way, that takes away the temptation from you wanting to buy. Tip number 2, waste not, want not. If you're going to buy the bag, make sure you love the bag and you're going to use the bag. And lastly, tip number 3, know yourself and know your limitations. Now, that's a broad one, but you know, like I said, you have to know what you can buy, what you cannot buy. You have to know, you know, what you can watch and what you cannot watch. You have to know, you know, basically what your budget is, you know, what you have to spend. So just make sure you know yourself and you know your limitations. I hope you have enjoyed this video. Please do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And please share the video with those who you know will enjoy the content as well. Thank you so much for subscribing. Thank you so much for sharing the videos. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for liking the videos. It is so greatly appreciated. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.